Hello, everyone. Thanks for the people that are a little early and right on time. I'm probably going to wait another 1, maybe 2 minutes to see if anybody else joins, but I want to kind of make sure we keep on track and not keep you too long. So hang tight. Okay, don't want to delay this any further. So thanks again for joining me. My name is Jeff Hebrink, the Sales Director here at rezStream. I've been here for over 8.5 years. Just super excited about what we've got going on. Things we've released, things we're working on and stuff. So I just wanted to use this usability webinar. I apologize for those people that you were used to coming, but just like you guys in the summer, I was busy myself, and so we really want to try to get these things humming along and getting them every month. So a couple of housekeeping things. I do have, this is an open discussion for me. So there should be like a Q&A option in your Zoom. Feel free to type right now of things you want to, like, it doesn't have to be anything about what I'm talking about here. So I've got an agenda I'm going to follow, but I will open this thing up to questions and answers, and it can be about literally anything. And then the final thing I'd like to say is at the very end of the webinar, I do post a survey. Really enjoy feedback. Like, I really love feedback, good or bad. Hopefully it's good. Please share those thoughts, feelings in that feedback. It is anonymous unless you want to put your email and stuff in there. So, all right, with that, let's get started. So you'll notice the agenda here, just kind of covering a couple of newer things since I've done one of these. And then I want to cover kind of just some tips, tricks. I struggle with trying to find topics. I always ask people what they want to hear about, don't get a lot of feedback. So what I do is try to look and work with our support team on what they're getting a lot of questions about. And then also maybe things that we see, features that we feel are great features everybody should be using, but maybe it's not being adopted. So, and then just kind of cover our website PMS integration, and then just kind of a recap. So thank you. With that, I'm going to kind of switch over and go into the software. And like I mentioned, I wanted to kind of cover more of the recent updates that we've done. So just in case somebody's newer here and isn't aware, this little bell icon here, you can always access this view latest news and updates. So this is one area where we have 3 tabs up here. So you'll be able to see kind of the previous webinars I've done. You can view all the previous webinars out here, but this is also where we post new features. So I want to cover these top 2 because they're ones that we released over the summer that I have yet to touch on. So let's talk about this one first. There's not a ton I can show you, but I can talk about yield management. So our software does have the ability to do yield management and put in rules. So for those of you that may not be familiar, yield management, some of you may do it on your own. Others may try to do it automated. You can set up rules in the software to increase, decrease price depending upon your occupancy levels and sort of the timing of the reservation. So the new feature we built was previous to this release, it would update, it would increase, decrease rates for your software and your websites, but it was not sending that information out to the OTAs like Expedia, Booking.com, etc. With this update, it does now reflect on those OTAs. So that was kind of the big addition here. So rate parity is something that is stressed from the OTAs, meaning you're supposed to have the same rates on your website as you do on the OTA. This makes sure that that you have that. So with that, I'm going to kind of just go into the yield management just in case anybody's not quite familiar or they want to use it and they're not. The configuration section is where you would go, and it's under the yield management option down here. So you create your own set of rules. There's a couple of common ones, and then of course some people have 4, 5, 6 different rules depending upon tiers. So really I show one discounted rate, one raising the rate. So when you add a rule here, you get to specify like when you want to adjust this. So like between 0 and 7, right? It means like within the coming week, if my occupancy is, like low, let's say like below 50%, again, this is a warning that I've already got a rule established. This is going to conflict with, but just to let you know that. Then if those things are met, then do this thing with my rates. So either you can increase, decrease it by a percentage or a dollar amount. So again, there's a variety of different rules people have in place. But the big feature here is that now actually sends that rate to the OTAs, which it did not do before this. So, all right. Again, if I do see a couple of people recently joined, if you have any questions about anything I'm talking about or just anything you want me to talk about, feel free to use the Q&A section in the Zoom meeting here, and I will answer those questions. I can unmute people. You can raise your hand and chat if you want. So just comment in there. So the next one I wanted to talk about is what we call our properties filter. So this may not apply to everyone. However, we have the concept of properties or unit groups. So whether you might be like a vacation rental, houses, cabin rental, and you might have those maybe scattered throughout different areas, or cities or whatever, you can actually kind of create what we call properties or unit groups. And now on your website, so I'm going to go to my fake hotel website here, just as a way to show you this. When people go to your booking engine, they now can click on this and search for a specific set of units. So I have an example here, like, Luxor Hotel Seaside versus Inlet. So kind of two maybe locations that I can filter. So maybe I only want to see units from the inlet part, and you'll see it kind of filters down to just those units that I've attached to that property. And then they can continue on with that search. As long as I'm here, I am going to talk about this amenities filter, and I might as well touch on that now. I don't have a lot of amenities built in my hotel database here. I'm going to switch over to my bed and breakfast inn. Actually, my resort one too has a lot of filters, but same concept here of the booking engine is they can hit search and then they can kind of filter by units with certain amenities. So I don't want to go into too much detail on that because I have done a webinar in the past on that, but as long as I'm here, I wanted to kind of touch on that just to make sure people are aware of that. And if anybody wants to go into detail, they can just ping me right here and we can go into that detail. But the big thing here that I want to focus on today for tips and tricks is letters. We get a lot of questions around letters. There's a feature of our letters that I feel like 90+% of our customers should be using, but it's probably more around 50 to 60%. So just want to cover that here. And it first thing I want to talk about is kind of just letters in general. What's the difference between letters and templates, and then building letters and letter codes, because it seems to be kind of a common support question. So letters and templates. So letters, think of that as like the words that you would want to say in a letter. Templates is more of the, well, template. It's the kind of the design of the email. So this is like an example. So, you know, header, footer, like really nice, you know, pictures, and then the actual letter itself, the letter content will be kind of in the middle of this, using this example. So that's kind of the, you know, letters versus templates. You can have multiple templates. So certain letters could have certain, you know, different templates with different pictures, you know, so you can kind of really specify for each letter. But let's get into the letters and talk about letter codes. So I'm going to just bring up one of my fake little letters here, just to sort of talk about the structure here that we've got going on. So this is basically like a word processor, right? Kind of seems simple, but where I think where the biggest questions and confusion is this dynamic data that is going to be entered, because we have a ton of things here. I'll just quickly scroll. You can kind of see all of the different, you know, things that can be automatically put into the letter. So of course, most people have probably used the word processor before, so you can start typing. And then when you want to insert a name, instead of name, you could come over here and do a search. So I'm going to just type in name. So now there's a variety of different things we can do insert. So do you want to, we have categories here too. This helps a lot too. This is a big question we get. So under the person, we've got a first name. So that's going to insert obviously their first name, but then we have categories. Here's all the reservation things with names in them, versus the invoice names, etc. So if you want to insert their first name, just that person's first name, you can just click on first name and then it will just automatically insert that name. So that's just one thing I wanted to cover. The other thing is like tables. That's another common scenario. So invoices are asked a lot about. So I'm going to come into an invoice because this is really where you can get, you know, a bunch of tables, and ignore some of my setups here just because this is my demo database and I get asked a lot of things. So it can look funky, but really invoices usually have some sort of table structure. And really how that's designed is, I'm going to just come in here and put my cursor here. So if I wanted to insert, for example, like we get asked a lot, like, can I show payments in an invoice? So we come over here and we come in here and type in payment. So you will notice we have, you know, the name of this letter code, but we tried to describe it. So this is a good example. So a table listing with all of the payments made with details on the reservation. And then, you know, last payment, or just kind of this would just be a total dollar amount. So if you want to kind of insert this table, now we do have tables, but it doesn't have to remain like this. You can remove some columns. You can just, you know, adjust the whole entire cell. You can merge things. So you can really get into, you know, advancing and kind of adjusting this table to kind of look however you want. So we can certainly help with all of this stuff. We get a lot of questions again on this letter code option. So if anybody has any suggestions on what we might call those besides letter codes, but there seems to be a common issue there that people don't make the connection. So again, I hope that really helps with designing a letter, setting up letter, using letter codes. I'm not going to sit here and go through every single one of these codes. We try to, when you hover over them, describe what that actually is. Some of it's super easy, obviously. You know, it makes complete sense. Other things might not be so sure. So we kind of talk about what it's going to do when you insert it. And the best way to do it is create a letter, go to someone's reservation and act like you're going to send them a letter. And then you get to kind of see what that's going to look like. So you can play around with it that way. And again, you can also do things like change the font size, bold, underline, insert a picture right into here. So different options there, a lot of different options. The other thing corresponding with letter, and this is the one feature that I talked about that I feel like 90+% of people should be using and only 55% of people are using, is the scheduled emails. So let's talk about, first of all, what scheduled emails are. So this is a way that your system will send personalized emails to your guests, usually before, during, and after their stay. I've got some of the more common ones set up, and then I'm going to talk about kind of some couple other options, and then I'm going to build a letter here and just kind of put it all together. So pre-arrival is something that, you know, most properties try to communicate with their guests, you know, whether that's a few days, a week, or the day before they arrive. You can decide, obviously, the increment, and you could send a couple. Maybe you send one that's a couple of weeks out and then another one that's a couple days out. But whatever letters, you come in here and design this letter. I've got one called pre-arrival, however many days you want before or after this arrival or departure. And then you can specify a time. The time is important, and I'll show you, not necessarily on a pre-arrival, but I'm going to show you where the time might come more into play. Again, the thank you letter the day after they leave. And then some people even send like a, you know, rebook. Hey, if you haven't booked your reservation for next year, use promo code XYZ and, you know, unlock a special rate for you or something. So there's those. The other two common ones that I've sort of been talking to people about and they find a lot of value is, well, let's build a letter. Like, how was your first night? So basically an email that gets sent out like when they wake up in the morning after their first night stay. So let's come in here and build a new letter. So I'm going to just hit add new letter. And we want to call this letter first night, and the subject, welcome, hope you enjoyed your night. Here's where you can specify the template that you want when it gets emailed. And again, we have a little preview as an email here, so I can start typing, hello, first name, so this is where you can kind of come in and we hope you enjoyed your first night at Casa de Hebrink. So you get the idea. I'm not going to sit here and make you watch me type a letter. But again, you can kind of use the letter codes. If there's anything wrong with your unit or you need any assistance, please let us know. We can save that letter. And now we can come in and do a scheduled email and add a schedule to say, first night, I want this letter, the first night letter, to go out one day after their arrival date. So here's where this time comes in, right? So I think they should probably wake up to this email. So you could set it like really early in the morning, or like maybe like 5 a.m. So this letter is basically going to just be in their inbox when they wake up, look at their phone, and it's going to say, you know, hey, hope you enjoyed your first night. Let us know if we need anything. So we got a pre-arrival first night that's going to go out. The other common one here that is not listed here is a checkout procedures one. So you can build a letter that talks about your checkout procedures. Maybe it, you know, we're sad to see you going tomorrow, but I just wanted to remind you of our checkout procedures. Checkout time is 11 a.m. You know, stop by the front desk for a copy of your invoice, or let us know if you want an email, whatever you want to say there. But that one is whatever letter. I'm going to just hit this, and that would be one day before their departure date. And I like to tell people, like, this is more of an evening one. So maybe, you know, you don't want to make them too sad that their time is coming to an end, but maybe like 7 p.m. So this is going to happen for every reservation the evening before they have to leave the next day, with those checkout procedures and anything else you might want to say. So whether that's rebook upon checkout with me tomorrow at the front desk, and I'm going to give you the same rate you had today, regardless of what the rate is, you know, for next year, whatever it is. So lots of different things. You can be creative with it, but this is, you know, communication with your guests that you no longer have to really try to keep track of who's all coming in 3 days. Oh, I want to try to reach out to them and explain some things. And oh, who left yesterday? I want to send them a letter to thank them for staying and ask them for a review. Google reviews are huge, right, for marketing. Those thank you letters should have links. They can have links to your Google profile, submit reviews, all of that stuff. So that's kind of more on the marketing side, but you can use this tool to help you with the marketing. So that was kind of one of the big things that the support team mentioned we were getting a lot of with this emails, the designing of emails, letter codes. It may not be for the people that are attending, but hopefully you find a value in that. The last thing I wanted to talk about is, and this, some people may not have this option right now, but I wanted to talk about our integration with our websites. So for those of you that have rezStream websites, that's awesome. Thank you very much. If you don't have websites, we offer those. We can design websites, but what the really cool feature is you have a website and then you have software, and then it has a booking engine. They sort of seem disconnected, but if you have all of those at rezStream, they all communicate with one another. Of course, the software and booking engine communicates, but when you have our website, we create, and hopefully people that have their own websites have like a particular unit page that talks about a particular unit or a unit type. So, and hopefully that has some photos of that unit type or unit, and then descriptions. And then we'll talk about this calendar here in case you don't do that. I do see a question come in, so I will get to that for sure. After I talk about this, it's going to be kind of an open Q&A too. So, the issue is if you come and take new photos, so you hired a new photographer, you did some remodeling and you took all new pictures. Well, it used to be, and for those of you that do not have any of our websites, you take all those photos and now, okay, well, I need to update my website. And then I need to come into the software. Hopefully you guys know how to load up kind of all of your images in the software to choose a different rate. So when you have our websites and our software and booking engine, they're connected. So anytime I make a change to the lady slipper unit in rezStream, either with the description or the photos, I can do that right in the software. So if I come into the lady slipper here and choose a different photo or reorder them, remove all of these and add all new ones, this photo gallery will change according to that. Same thing with the amenities here or description of the unit. In the configuration section under each unit, you have a description of this. So you'll notice, this description matches this description. So if you added a new amenity, maybe you put in a jacuzzi tub or, rainfall shower, whatever they call it, you can change that here. And now your website actually updates and changes that there. So it's kind of a seamless connection. You're not having to work with a website vendor to update your website because they took new photos and, oh, now I need to come into the software and now are they the same? Maybe I missed a photo here, missed a photo there. So it just sort of makes sure that your website, your booking engine, the software, they're all synced up and they all have the same data, the same photos. And literally it's just a connection. And once it's connected, it just happens. So you update that stuff in the software and your website is up to date. So that was just one thing I wanted to touch on because I know some of the newer people that are getting our websites just kind of comment on how cool that feature is. So I just wanted to touch on it just in case that's of interest to you. So I do have a question here. We have both cabins and campsites. Is there a way to only send scheduled emails to cabin reservations? That's a good question. You're probably not going to like my answer, but it's going to be twofold. Right now, no. It's kind of you set it and it's going to send it to everything. However, I'm writing that down, making sure I put that as a suggestion to the development team. I may want to ask why you would do that, but that's, you have your reasons and I don't need to pry and ask why, but just as when I submit my ticket, then I can kind of explain sort of like in certain cases why you'd want, but I will submit that ticket. That is a good piece of feedback. The answer is no, we do not have that option to only send it to certain people with certain units. But thank you for the question. If that did not help or want to provide more, in the survey at the end of this webinar, I post a survey. I do say provide any piece of feedback. So have at it, post it in there if that didn't answer your question. So we're inching up right around that half-hour mark is when I wanted to sort of be done, but I want to make sure I answer anyone else's questions. So I don't see any other questions coming in. If you want to just talk and ask your question out loud, there is a raise my hand feature in this Zoom. So you could raise your hand and I'll unmute your mic. We can go that way, type it in the Q&A. I'll give it maybe another 30 seconds here while I jabber. I do want to make sure you have my contact information directly, just in case. I'm going to use this as a way to do that. Putting my email here and my direct phone number in case you want to email me or call me after this or anytime. I should put com.com. Feel free to do so. Of course, you have the amazing support team you can call with any questions, but hey, feel free to email myself. Anyone here at rezStream, we are not going to turn away feedback or calls. We'll make sure you get pointed in the right direction. So nobody else raised their hand. Nobody else asked a question. Thank you very much for attending. Please provide feedback on what you'd like to learn more about next time. And yes, Thanks. Have a great rest of the day. I appreciate it.